So, recap of day 2 with respect to directors provisions, chapter 11, 12, 13 of the Companies Act. And we have seen section 149 subsection 6 and overall 149, and especially 149 subsection 6 discusses about independent directors and the criteria for independent directors that we did yesterday also in brief. And then apart from that, we saw when independent directors are required. That was the main thing we started with. That is 10, 100, 50. That is what we have to remember. So 10 is a paid up capital, 100 turnover, and 50 is LDD, outstanding loans, debentures and deposits. That's what is required to know, that when independent directors are required and what are the qualifications required for independent directors. So that is MSL comfort. So the person should have appropriate skills, experience and knowledge in the field of MSL comfort. M is marketing, S is sales, L legal, C corporate governance, O others, M management, F finance, A administration, R research, and T is technical operation. So that's what is basic qualifications required for appointment of an independent director. And then we have compliance is required by persons eligible and willing to be appointed as independent directors. So primarily, he should, now it is required compulsory that he should have passed the proficiency test and get registered at the website of independent directors databank.in with Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. And those who have been already independent directors for 10 years, more than 10 years, or the person has been KMP for more than 10 years, or have been independent director in listed company for more than 10 years, directorship in listed companies, or the person has been director in unlisted public company whose paid up capital is 10 crores or more, then they are exempted from online proficiency test. And as already told before, any support required for this proficiency test, Chetan Gandhi is always available. I'm all there to support. And how did I prepare and how it was simple enough, I will help you out all that. So do not worry at all. Then we spoke about women directors, and as women directors, rule 3. Rule 3 is Teen Devya. That's what we can remember. Teen Devya depicts rule 3, which depicts when women directors are required. Of course, all listed companies do need women directors. And who else? Unlisted public companies where now women directors, women, they are all royal, and so they will not go to our chotu motu companies, they will go to big companies, and their criteria is 100 and 300, 100 crores and 300 crores. What is this 100, 300? 100 crores paid up capital or 300 crores is turnover. If that criteria, either of the condition is fulfilled, then women directors will go. That is what it is mentioned. Plus, as per LODR regulations, the latest amendment regulations of 2018, effective 1st April 2019, top 500 listed companies, and effective April 2020, top 1000 listed companies must have at least one independent women directors. And these independent women directors are also considered as independent directors for the counting of at least 1/3 independent directors should be there. That is 1/3 of the total strength of the board should be independent directors in case of listed companies and all. So for that purpose they'll be counted. And so we should have at least one independent women director. That is what we have to be very careful about. If women director hai, chalega. But now in case of top 1000 listed companies as on date, top 1000 listed companies, I need an independent women director, and only women director is not sufficient for me. Especially in case of listed companies. And other places, same criteria is there. That is unlisted public companies and all. You need a woman director. That's all. Nothing more than that. Then we discussed about section 151, that is appointment of directors elected by small shareholders. So small shareholders, directors, and who are small shareholders? That is holding shares of nominal value of not more than 20,000 rupees. So that is, they should be having face value shares of not more than 20,000 rupees are small shareholders. Even though the market, now I am holding around 10,000 rupees shares, and so that face value is 10 rupees, so I am holding 1,000 shares, but the value of those 1,000 shares is 1 lakh. Am I a small shareholder? Yes, I am a small shareholder, because the face value is only 10,000 rupees, even though the market price is 1 lakh. That doesn't matter. And then small shareholders, listed companies, upon notice of from not less than 1,000 small shareholders of 1/10 of the total strength, if they make an application, if we want a small shareholder, then yes, then they can make an application and the listed company will appoint a small shareholders, directors, and they should fulfill the criteria. And what are the basic criteria? They will vacate if they are disqualified under section 164, the small shareholder directors, or they will also vacate if they become vacant under section 167, and if they do not fulfill the criteria of section 149 subsection 6, that is criteria of independent director. So these are the requirements for a small shareholder director. So he should be an independent director also. If he does not continue to be independent director, he has to step down as a small shareholder director, and an independent director is appointed for 5 years. Then further they can be again reappointed by special resolution for further 5 years, and then there will be a cooling period of 3 years. That is for independent directors. 5 years, 5 years, and then cooling period of 3 years. Small shareholders, they can be appointed at a time for not more than 3 years. Yes, small shareholders for 3 years, and then there should be a cooling period of 3 years, and again they can be appointed. And plus, if I'm a small shareholder in one company A, I'm a small shareholder, I cannot be at the same time small shareholder in company B. So at one time I should be a small shareholder director only in one company at a time as a small shareholder director. Okay. Plus, if I'm a small shareholder director, I should not be doing competing business with the company in which I'm a small shareholder director. So what will happen? I'm on the board, I get access to a lot of insider information, confidential information, and I'm doing competing business also. That is not acceptable. That is not allowed to be a small shareholder director. Then we saw section 152, that is appointment of directors. So appointment of directors are like, articles will provide the names of the first directors. In case none of the name has been provided in the articles as first directors, then all the subscribers to the memorandum who are individual human beings, they will be considered as the first directors. And then unless all directors, if articles provide that all directors are going to retire by rotation, then that's a different thing. Else, if nothing such has been mentioned, then as per section 152, 2/3 of the total strength will be considered for directors liable to retire by rotation. And for this directors of the total strength, independent directors in this total strength are not counted. Yes. So to calculate, so if you are having 10 directors and of that 5 are independent, so to calculate 2/3, I will only consider those 5 and I will not consider the independent 5 directors. Or I have 4 independent directors, so I will only consider 6 as a strength, and of those 6 I will consider 2/3, and then 1/3 of 2/3 will retire by rotation. And then they are also eligible for reappointment. This is what we did under section 152 as a quick recap. And then we saw for appointment of director, I need to file a consent, and I also need to file a return with the Register of Companies, and that return of appointment of directors is filed in DIR. Now it's directors chapter, so all forms will start from DIR. So DIR 12, and in that I'll file a consent copy also. It will be an attachment to DIR 12. That will be in the form DIR 2. So DIR 2 is the consent which is required to be filed and returned DIR 12. And then section 155, no individual should obtain or possess another DIN. So a person can have only one DIN number at a time. And then we have further after that 157 discussed about company to inform DIN to ROC, that is within 15 days of receipt of intimation they should intimate ROC that so and so person who is appointed is having so and so DIN number. So in fact all those details will go in the form 12 itself, DIR 12 itself, when we are filing. Then important section 160, that is right to stand for directorship. So any person who is not retiring director is eligible for appointment as a director, and he has to give to the company 14 days notice before the shareholders meeting, and the company but along with that I have to give a deposit of 1 lakh rupees. Yes, and in case if I'm appointed, I get the refund back. Or if the votes, I get 25% of the valid votes in favor of me, then also, so if I get more than 25% valid votes in favor of me for my appointment, then also I get refund. So even though I'm not appointed, I got 26% of valid votes, I get the refund back. But if I get less than that, then I don't get any refund. And deposits will not apply, and there's a new amendment which has come up, which you have to be careful. They will not apply for appointment of independent directors or a director recommended by NRC or directors recommended by Board of Directors where NRC is not there. So that's about section 160. And then section 161, ANSI. One auntie of 61 years old is ANSI. And who is this ANSI? That is additional director, alternate director, nominee director, and casual vacancy. Additional director is appointed in the board meeting, and they can be also appointed by circular resolution. And most important, these directors vacate their office at the very next annual general meeting, and in the next annual general meeting they can be reappointed. They can be appointed as a normal full-fledged director by the shareholders, because always directors are always appointed by the shareholders, and this appointment in the AGM will be a special business. Even though it will be an ordinary resolution, it will be taken as a special business where an additional director is appointed as a normal director by the shareholders. And then we have alternate director. When an alternate director is appointed, when the individual director is going out of India for more than 3 months, then an alternate director is appointed, and it should fulfill all the criteria for an alternate director. And especially if an independent director is going out of India and an alternate director is to be appointed in place of independent director, then the alternate director also should fulfill all the criteria of independent directorship. And one person can be an alternate director of only another person. So I cannot be an alternate director for 2 directors. And if I'm already a director on the board, I cannot be alternate director for anyone else. I cannot take decisions on my behalf also in someone else. It should be some other individual, some other human being. And amendments as per SEBI LODR regulations amendments prohibit an alternative director from being appointed or continues as an independent director in a listed company. You cannot have alternate directors as independent. You cannot consider as alternate directors as independent directors. That's clearly been mentioned. And filling up of casual vacancy, a person may vacate the office of directorship due to resignation or due to death or for whatever reasons the person vacates the office. Another person will be appointed, and that person needs to be appointed in the very next board meeting, or within 3 months the person is required to be appointed. That person will be then considered to be appointed by the shareholders at the very next AGM or the shareholders meeting. That person's appointment will be regularized by the shareholders approval, and he will be there occupying the position to the extent, to the period, to the tenure up to which he is filling up the position of the vacant director. So the person who has left, who has vacated the position, how long he would have been there on the board of the company, he will continue till that time only. So he'll be there for 2 years, 3 years, whatever the time is. The person is going to occupy the position only for that period itself. And then after that, he could be appointed as a normal regular director of the board of the company. Further, so that's about section 161. And then we have section 162, that is appointment of directors to be voted individually. So that's what we have to start today. And that is a motion for appointment of 2 or more persons as directors by a single resolution shall not be moved. So it is always advisable that one resolution for one appointment of director. So if I'm appointing A, B, C, D, Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C, Mr. D, I need 4 board resolutions to be passed, and there's a best practice to be carried out. And this section shall not apply to the government companies and subsidiary of the government companies, and this section shall not apply to private companies. So in private companies I can have one resolution with appointment of 2 directors. It's allowed, but as best practices we should not do that. So as a company secretary, as professional corporate lawyers or as consultants, we should always advise, even though it's exempted, private company ko applicable nahi hai, best practice, let us follow the best practices. One resolution per one director. That is the best way to work out. And then section 163, that is about proportional representation for appointment of directors. And that's